The tale of Youjo Senki is nothing short of legendary, but the anime, manga, and light novel each present it in their own unique ways. In this video, we're diving deep into how each version reshapes Tanya's battle and why that's so significant. So buckle up maggots. It's time to head into the fray. Youjo Senki, also known as the Saga of Tanya the Evil, stands out as one of the most intriguing military fantasy series around, mixing strategy, magic, and some pretty harsh philosophy. It all kicked off as a light novel series penned by Carlo Zen, making its debut in 2013. Thanks to its popularity, it was adapted into a manga by Chika Tojo in 2016, followed by an anime produced by Studio Nut that hit the screens in 2017. But don't be misled by the common storyline. Each format brings its own flavor to the tale. The light novel dives deep into dense philosophical themes, the manga offers a sharp and gritty take, while the anime delivers a cinematic experience packed with action. So, how do these three narratives unfold? Let's dive into the plot. At its heart, all three adaptations tell a similar story. A ruthless salaryman gets a second shot at life as a young girl in a war-torn alternate Europe. Armed with her sharp wits and magical powers, Tanya climbs the ranks of the Empire while constantly clashing with the godlike being X. The light novel, however, digs deeper into the story, especially the complex internal politics and economic systems at play. It also brings in various viewpoints beyond Tanya's, including those of generals, civilians, and foreign officers. The manga, while it simplifies some subplots and battles, remains faithful to the light novel's strategic depth. We get to delve into Tanya's inner thoughts, the intricacies of military bureaucracy, and her clever, chess-like strategies. In contrast, the anime takes a different route. It condenses or rearranges events for a more dramatic flow, often putting action ahead of strategy. For example, some of the dialogues with Being X are expanded or made more intense, and it skips over the light novel's detailed look at the Empire's fuel crisis, a subplot that really highlights Tanya's logistical genius. The tone is where these versions really start to diverge. The light novel dives deep into philosophical and political complexities. Carlo Zen weaves in references to real-world economics, military theory, and historical parallels. It often feels like you're reading a military journal or a political essay. Tanya's narration comes off as cold, logical, and cynical, almost unsettlingly so. The manga keeps much of that same tone. Chika Tojo employs intricate artwork and expressive faces to showcase Tanya's sociopathy and manipulative tendencies. A lot of the dialogue is lifted straight from the novel, and her inner thoughts remain dark and introspective. There's also a bit more dark humor sprinkled in. On the other hand, the anime takes a more theatrical route. It really highlights Tanya's madness, her wide eyes, exaggerated smirks, and explosive outbursts. She comes across more as a villainous prodigy than a cynical realist. While she's still sharp, there's less methodical thinking and more emotional intensity. The light novel serves as a war thesis. The manga acts as a war diary. The anime, it's a war cry. But Youjo Senki isn't solely about warfare, it's a clash of ideologies. In the anime, Tanya's loathing for Being X is brought to life with visual flair. She shouts, curses, and rages. It's dramatic and unforgettable. Meanwhile, in the manga, Tanya's internal monologues dig deeper. Her thoughts on faith, free will, and utilitarianism take on a philosophical tone. We hear more of that salaryman voice in her head, analyzing war like it's a business deal. This shift is significant. The anime leans into emotion, while the manga is driven by ideas. But it's not just the philosophy that changes. Tanya herself is reimagined in each version. Tanya Degurechaff, as depicted in the light novel, comes across as a cold, hyper-rational strategist, a former salaryman whose every action is meticulously calculated for survival and career growth. She seems to lack any emotional ties to those around her, viewing her battalion merely as tools to achieve her goals. Her decisions are driven by efficiency and a strong instinct for self-preservation. Delving into her internal monologue, we see a frantic urge to escape death or divine retribution, rather than any passion for warfare. In the manga, though, Tanya retains her ruthless edge but is noticeably more relatable and human. She develops a stronger connection with her troops, genuinely cares about their welfare, and even displays a hint of loyalty and patriotism towards the Empire. There are heartfelt moments, like her visits to the orphanage or her mentorship of Visha, that suggest a richer, more nuanced character. On the other hand, the anime portrays Tanya as less of a logical thinker and more of an intense figure, often resembling a devilish entity rather than a pragmatic officer. Each version presents a different side of Tanya: the cold realist, the devoted commander, and the feared monster. The anime cranks up her madness because visual storytelling thrives on spectacle. The light novel's chillier Tanya resonates because we're privy to her thoughts. The manga strikes a balance, maintaining her strategic mindset while incorporating expressive artwork. Tanya's character evolves subtly yet significantly across the various adaptations of Youjo Senki, altering how audiences view her. The same brilliant mind, the same battlefield, but three unique interpretations: the light novel's frigid strategist, the manga's disciplined leader, and the anime's vengeful war deity. Supporting characters really come to life in the manga. Take Victoria, for instance. She's not just there for comic relief like in the anime. She's a capable officer, albeit a bit naive, and her insights provide some thoughtful critiques of the military. Colonel Ryurugin's struggle with Tanya's morality is delved into much more deeply in the manga, which really adds to his role as the moral anchor of the Empire. Generals Zetur and Ryurugin also get more development in the light novel, where we see their personal conflicts and political strategies unfold. Meanwhile, Being X shows up more often in the anime and manga, where it's portrayed with a lot of drama for added tension, but in the novel, it feels more like a philosophical presence. The world of Youjo Senki isn't just a fantasy version of Europe, it's a rich tapestry of ideas and systems. The light novel really digs deep into world building, exploring everything from economics and supply chains to military organization, international law, and the theory of war. It's not just about magic and bullets, it's a clash of ideologies and systems. The manga does a good job of keeping some of this depth, featuring maps, statistics, and tactical discussions, but it streamlines the exposition to keep the narrative flowing. On the other hand, the anime leans heavily into visuals and spectacle. We get to see intense war zones and thrilling magic duels, but a lot of the political subtleties are either cut or oversimplified. For instance, the Federation and the Commonwealth are introduced with less background, and strategy meetings tend to prioritize action over policy discussions. When you look at each version, they each offer a distinct experience. The light novel, illustrated by Shinobu Shinatsuki, features moody, military-themed artwork. The characters are portrayed in a realistic and grounded manner, with just the right amount of exaggeration. On the other hand, the manga adopts a grittier and more detailed style. The facial expressions are incredibly intense. Tanya's smirks, Visha's fear, and the chaos of battle are all brought to life through careful shading and line work. It may not be as fluid, but it's definitely more expressive. The anime, however, takes a different approach with its dramatic lighting, exaggerated expressions, and smooth action sequences. Tanya's infamous crazy faces have become iconic, though not everyone is a fan of how different she appears compared to the novel or manga. The anime delivers fluid animation with dynamic aerial combat and stunning visual effects, making magic battles feel vibrant and alive. But there's a trade-off. While the manga art builds tension and realism, the anime visuals can sometimes overlook the finer details. Many fans often joke that the anime, manga, and light novel of Youjo Senki feel like three different accounts of the same war, each with its own bias. They liken the differences between these versions to viewing the same war through different lenses. The anime often seems to be told from the perspective of Tanya's enemies or as a post-war Allied propaganda narrative, portraying her as an unhinged demon child and emphasizing her cruelty and madness, almost mythologizing her as a villain in war stories and painting the Empire as a fearsome force. In contrast, the manga is typically seen as the Empire's perspective, more balanced and grounded, depicting Tanya as a ruthless yet brilliant officer navigating the harsh realities of military bureaucracy and war. Meanwhile, the light novel presents Tanya's own account, told through her internal monologue filled with philosophical reflections, justifications, and rationalizations. For many, it feels like the true record of events, where ideology, psychology, and strategy intertwine in the chilling logic of war. In the end, Youjo Senki stands out as a unique case where all three adaptations share the same core narrative but present it through completely different perspectives. If you're into political theory and military realism, the light novel is your best bet. For dark, visually stunning scenes that sometimes bring a comedic touch while staying true to the source, check out the manga. And if you crave fast-paced action paired with an epic soundtrack, the anime is the way to go. Each version uncovers a different facet of the story. The light novel engages your mind, the manga offers reflection, and the anime delivers explosive excitement. Together, they create a rich and intricate portrait of a war-torn world and the monster it has birthed. Personally, I lean towards the light novel as my favorite because of its realism. While both the manga and anime make Tanya seem a bit overpowered, in the novel, her true strength comes from her intelligence. Her mana is pretty average compared to other mages, and within her elite battalion, it's actually on the lower side. That's why, in crucial moments, she relies on her Type 95 jewel. In the manga, that jewel lets her pull off some wild, almost miraculous feats, like healing her battalion members. Meanwhile, in the anime, she uses it constantly without any side effects. But I have a soft spot for the anime since it's where I started, and the manga is a blast too, especially since it dives deeper into Youjo Senki while we're still waiting for a second season of the anime. So, in short, give each adaptation a shot. You can kick things off like I did with the anime, then enjoy the manga for some fun, and finally, dive into the light novel for the full experience. If you're a light novel purist, a manga lover, or just an anime fan, let's debate in the comments. And if you're craving more deep dives into these twisted worlds, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, give us a like, and ring that bell. Until next time, recognize the superior adaptation, or prepare to face the wrath of being X.